Early last October, while working in his office in Baghdad, a businessman we will call Mr. L got a phone call from a number he'd never seen before. The voice on the other end said, "We need to talk." He demanded that Mr. L meet him, but refused to give his name. The call ended, and Mr. L might have forgotten the strange telephone conversation if it had not been for one of his co-workers who informed Mr. L that the call was from a powerful Iraqi militant group who had a business proposal to discuss. Mr. L didn't know enough to be frightened. When the militant called a second time, Mr. L agreed to a meeting. By now he understood that he could not ignore this type of telephone message. The two men set up a meeting in downtown Baghdad. Mr. L felt safe enough. He took a few co-workers with him to the meeting to show strength. The meeting took place just before nightfall. And once inside the building, Mr. L was led to a dim office and introduced to a small, bald man who immediately said, "You need to work with us. There is no other choice. You can keep your staff, but you must do as we say." The man went on to explain that his organization would take 20% of Mr. L's gross revenue and 50% of his profits. Mr. L refused. His company, Palm Jet, had a 5-year government contract to run a VIP terminal at Baghdad's international airport, along with a nearby hotel. His company also worked with Western aeronautics firms like Lockheed Martin. He could not have any dealings with a group based out of Iran, which was already listed on the U.S. government's terrorist list. The bald man replied, "If you refuse, we will seize everything you own in Baghdad." Mr. L looked at the man with disbelief and replied, "I am an investor. There is law." The man replied, "We are the law." Mr. L was given until noon the next day to sign the papers. The next afternoon, 5 SUVs rolled up outside the VIP terminal, dressed in black paramilitary gear and carrying guns. Mr. L was sitting in the coffee shop of the airport hotel, smoking and sipping coffee. Mr. L called all of his government contacts the night before, along with the airport's department head. No one returned his call. It was like they had already been warned or paid off. Mr. L stalled for time. Finally, after 20 minutes, Mr. L walked to the department hall and caught a flight to Dubai on that very same afternoon. Mr. L was Lebanese and had worked in Iraq since 2011. He knew Iraq was troubled with crime and corruption, but believed businesses working with the airport would be safe because of all of the airport security. He was wrong. Mr. L learned several days later that the man placed his own man as a contractor in his place. Mr. L has not returned to Iraq since. This short story is only the beginning of a long, detailed, informational article on the New York Times. After you listen to the 1-hour audio article, you will know more than 95% of all Iraqi dinar investors. You will know exactly what happened at the Iraqi airport just a week before the Iranian general was killed. You will understand why corruption is running rapid in Iraq. You will know why $10 billion plus wrapped and shipped by the U.S. Federal Reserve to Iraq, how often and why. You will realize how the flow of money is making corruption profitable in Iraq to the tune of billions of dollars. You will understand the true meaning of laundering money, and how the Iraqi daily money auction facilitates corruption. This is a copyrighted article with serious information. You want to listen to the entire article.